Sairam, respected elders, brothers, sisters, youth, and children. This evening, we mark the 10th anniversary since our beloved Bhagavan shed his mortal coil and merged into cosmic consciousness. We shall continue to honor his life and legacy by remembering him and living his teachings as they are still relevant to this day and for years and generations to come. Bhagavan has told us on countless occasions that he will never forsake or disappoint his devotees. His primary message then and now continues to be that love is divine. You must love all. More so, impart your love even to those who lack love. Love is like a mariner's compass. Wherever you may keep it, it should always point towards God. Manifest selfless love in every action in your daily life. My name is Gautam Dharmakumar, and I'm honored to be the MC for today's virtual proceedings. I've been an SSC student and youth with the Sri Satya Sai Baba Center of Scarborough for 15 years. The special theme of this year's remembrance and adoration is Journey to Self, Journey to Sai. As the last year has been a challenging one for humanity, we continue to cling to him and his teachings to weather the challenging journey that is life, riddled with obstacles, suffering, and misfortune. However, Bhagavan sweetly reminds us that with every step you are nearing God, and God too takes 10 steps towards you when you take one step towards him. There is no stopping place in this pilgrimage. It is one continuous journey through day and night, through valley and desert, through tears and smiles, through birth and death. When the road ends and the goal is gained, the pilgrim finds that he has traveled only from himself to himself, and the way was long and lonesome. But the God that led him unto it was all the while in him, around him, with him, and beside him. He himself was always divine. We will begin this evening's program with a spoken word performance by two of our youth who are also SSC gurus, Brother Vinod Sudhakaran and Vino Dharani Dayalan. Spoken word is a genre of poetry where the poet uses rhythm, rhyme, and repetition in dramatic reading to bring the written words to life.
Dear travelers, once upon a time, we lived without care in this world, seeking more of what's mindless, thoughtlessly sprinting, sullying the time we have left. Why must we race to fall apart?
Yes, we were living, we were loving, but with what devotion, what substance, chasing things that do not truly serve us, fleeting moments that pleaded to be felt, concealing the need for space, to pause, to wait, to reflect.
The world was our treadmill and we knew not to slow down, in visceral fear that we were running faster and faster away from something bigger.
And all the while, a fire so devastating, so paralyzing was coming to find us. We couldn't see the bigger picture that was forming until it was too late.
We were forced to come to a halt.
Sparks turned to budding flames, fueled by the constant fear that we inhaled with every breath. We witnessed a wildfire spread right before our eyes, silently consuming the paths we so often tread, stripping away the veils that exposed what truly existed within our homes.
Locked down, trapped. The whole world collectively chanting in prayer, mourning together. Who would have thought humanity would be most connected at this moment?
We lost access to the home where we found peace, but soon realized that the source of this peace lay somewhere beyond these walls, nurturing ourselves with what we have fostered within, quenching our thirst for spirituality, for the higher power.
There is a universe within us that is waiting to be tapped. As travelers, there is so much of this journey we have yet to define. So what does devotion mean to you?
Is it the moments of solitude where you converse with God?
Is it the prayers amplified from the comforts of your home?
Is it the reflection of His divine words illuminating the eternal truth?
Is it the realization that you yourself embody the divinity that you so longingly search for? Beyond the mirrors that once reflected the environment we were immersed in, now reflect the light you have found within. Now reflect the light you have found within. We have bled so much in this life. Who is not ready to live?
We have lost so much in this life. Who is not ready to love?
We have seen more graveyards than gardens.
So let's breathe life into each other.
Let's look past the mask and into the eyes. For we have traveled so far and wide, seeking for happiness and waves to ride,
only to be brought back to shore,
to where we truly belong.
Remember that with every step, you are nearing God. And God too, when you take one step towards Him, takes 10 towards you. There is no stopping place in this pilgrimage. It is one continuous journey through the day and night, through valley and desert, through tears and smile, through death and birth, through tomb and womb. When the road ends and the goal is gained, the pilgrim finds that he has traveled only from himself to himself, that the way was long and lonesome, but that the God whom he has reached was all the while in him, around him, with him, beside him. He himself was always divine. His yearning to merge in God was but the sea calling to the ocean. Man loves because life is love. He is melody and harmony. He seeks joy, for he is joy. He thirsts for God, for he is composed of God, and he cannot exist without him.
Thank you, Sister Vino and Brother Vinoj, for that remarkable spoken word performance, and for reminding us so eloquently that Swami has shown the pathway to self-realization through love in service and constant integrated awareness of God. Next, we have a special performance from the past for you all, a shadow play, a performance where Swami's life is shown in detail, with teachings pertaining to resilience through love and the love given to us by our beloved Bhagavan. This performance was done entirely through the clever use of shadows and tableaus. This was originally performed live by the SSE Group 4 Boys grad class in 2015. We hope you enjoy this moving depiction of our Bhagavan's life.
Bhagavan manifested on November 23, 1926. His life was an unending saga spreading love and peace and awakening man to his true nature. In the engulfing darkness, in the complexities of modern life, Swami's life is the beacon of light that instills hope and inspiration for a brighter and better world. One day, as Ishwarama was drawing water from a well, she saw a radiant light coming from the sky and entering her being. She fainted. The Lord had chosen his mother. once in this world, Swami was aptly named Satyanarayana. Even at this age, he was one with Mother Earth and showed compassion to all living things around him. Upon declaring that he is Sai Baba, Bhagavan taught his first bhajan.
Manas bhajare Guru Charanam Dushtara Brahma Sagar Taranam. Manas bhajare Guru Charanam Dushtara Brahma Sagar Taranam.
With his rise to prominence, the evils of society tested his divinity. He was tested by his neighbors. He was locked in a hut with his friends, and the hut lit on fire. The heavens could not bear to see their Lord being incinerated, so they cried. Tears in the form of rain fell only on the hut, and Satya walked out unharmed. Satya forgave them and said to Sukhama that through every such incident, his divinity is revealed more and more. This compassion in his later years would translate into mega projects such as the Specialty Hospital and the water project in Anantapur district in India. In 1991, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences Super Specialty Hospital was conceived to provide medical services free of charge and not for monetary gain as a commodity. This cost should be absorbed by society, a loving and compassionate approach. Like all of Bhagavan's endeavors, the hospital's aim was to provide an example for all humans to emulate. As the inner thirsts of man for love were being quenched by Swami's love, thirst in its literal sense needed to be quenched due to drought and lack of rain. Sri Sathya Sai Water Project was initiated in Anantapur district, making available the essential necessity of clean drinking water. One by one, other districts came to Swami seeking his blessing and assistance, and he did not disappoint, as no was not in his vocabulary. It was always yes, yes, and always yes. The world was left in awe in his divinity and miracles. The world seemed to be saying, I don't know who you are or what you are, but I know you are. He explained in his own words that he is the teacher of truth. He has come to light the lamp of love in our hearts. has taught us to love all and serve all. He has taught us that love seeks no reward. Love is its own reward. Cultivation of love alone can convince man that there is only one caste of humanity and one religion, religion of love. One language, language of the heart. He had given the world what it wanted, so it may want what he had come to give. Right from his birth, his life was his message. We give thanks to Swami, our Lord, our Guru, for showing us the way. Now we know the way, and it is our responsibility to follow in the path Swami has paved. Jai Sai Ram.
The use of shadows to depict the life of Swami. Absolutely brilliant. It is truly amazing to see creative minds come together to present something totally breathtaking. Thank you, SSC boys, for sharing that story. Our final program of the evening is a heart-to-heart message from Sister Atmi Markandeer. Sister Atmi was an SSC student and youth from our center's very early days and has been an SSC guru for many years as well. She is a teacher by profession and is involved with training gurus at our guru workshops along with many other center initiatives. She will share with us how our dear Swami has influenced and impacted her life and continues to do so to this present day.
Sai Ram, everyone. I want to start by thanking Swami for this opportunity to speak to you all today on this auspicious occasion, the Aradhana Mahotsavam. And I ask that he uses me as a means of conveying whatever message he would like you to hear. So I speak to you today of my connection to Swami and his influence on my life. And to me, it seems quite appropriate that I speak on this day when he left his physical body, because my heart-to-heart stories or connections are not really experiences with his physical form, but rather of a faith and a knowledge that he's still around us, with us, among us, still very much present. So let me start by just giving you a bit of background. So I grew up in the Scarborough Sai Center from when it started in like 1986 or 87. And I was one of the first Balavika students with just a mere 4 or 5 other students and just one guru. There were probably just a handful of families at this time. And although we had Woburn Collegiate as our go-to place to worship every Sunday and for Balavika's classes, there was no home base per se like we enjoy today with our center. So when it came to practices for plays and for Christmas carols and other such things, we used each other's homes. And as a result, I have to say, strong bonds and relationships and friendships formed as a result. The friendships that I think we still value and hold dear to us today. And I have to thank my mother for this, because she literally brought us into the light, my siblings and I and my dad. My mom was such an ardent devotee of Swami. She had unwavering faith in God. And I'm just so grateful for her influence, for her persistence in sending us to Balavikas, for her active involvement in the center, and for forcing us to get involved as well, and for forcing us to go to bhajans every Sunday. Because I feel it developed within us a love of God, a deep faith that I just feel so essential for my well-being today. She always taught us at a young age, you didn't have to do any fancy prayers, just have a conversation with God. And even at the young age of like 5 or 6, I remember attempting to have those conversations with Swami. And I would say to him every morning something as simple as, "My dearest Baba, I love you, I believe in you, and I'm so glad to have you as my Baba." And over the years, as my understanding of what Swami represents has grown, I've added to that simple prayer. And it now goes something more like, I still say those first 3 lines: "I love you, I believe in you, I'm so glad to have you as my Baba." But I thank him for all that he's given me, and I'm so very grateful for all that I have. I ask him to guide me every step of the way, ask that, I not harm anyone with my words, my thoughts, nor my deeds, and help me to see the good in others, and help me to love all equally and unconditionally. And I always end by leaving everything in his hands and asking and saying, whatever happens, I deem it as your wish. I was in that way. And I've recited these words to him almost daily, and my children have heard me say this, and now they say it with me. We all pray together, saying those same words together. And I just kind of melts my heart to know that, the faith that my mother brought into my life, I'm somehow also instilling that in my children's. Because that faith to know that there is a God, that there is something beyond what we have in this world, and the need to be good, it's that faith that has helped me survive. I have a strong understanding that nothing is within my control and that Swami is the doer. And I truly believe this wholeheartedly. So when things don't happen as expected, I accept it. I accept that's what was meant to be. So whether it be that I, didn't get that job that I had applied for, or did I make the right decision in sending my children to this school over that one, I don't dwell on these things because I have a deep understanding. It's what was meant to be. It's that understanding that has allowed me to avoid riding that roller coaster of life and to maintain some balance. So even, when one of the most difficult things in my life happened 2 years ago when my mother passed away, I accepted it. I understood that the way that it happened, the fact that we lost her, was what Swami intended, as hard as it was to accept. And it wasn't easy to wrap my mind around initially. And I remember going to the Sai Center to, ask for some guidance. And when I went up to the altar up at our center in the main hall, and there was no one else in the hall, and I went directly to Swami's picture, looked him in the face, and I was just like, what do I do? And my mother was still at the hospital, not doing very well at that time. And he said, "It's not your decision." There's a very clear voice in my head that said, "It's not your decision," and that everything that has happened has all been as he wishes. And he also told me he was with her and made me sit down, kind of trace the outline of his form, all very clear voices in my head. It was a very powerful moment for me, and it allowed me to accept something that would not have been very easy to accept. And it really eased the suffering, to know that she had returned to him. And in the days that followed my mother's passing, I cannot explain how comforting it was for my siblings and I to gather with our family and to sing bhajans. We would read some of Swami's literature and find such solace in his powerful words. These are the ways in which being a Sai devotee has helped me in my life. It isn't anything earth-shattering, no miracle per se that I can speak of, but still there is this knowledge that Swami is there with us, watching over us, guiding us through those trials, guiding us, somehow back to him. Sairam.
Thank you for your heartfelt message and reflection, Sister Athmi. As we come to the conclusion of this year's Aradhana Mahotsavam evening program, it is important that we hold dear the teachings of our beloved Swami, regardless of his passing 10 years ago. He is ever loving, ever compassionate, and ever present in our lives through our thoughts, words, actions, and most importantly, our service to others. We hope we were able to provide an opportunity for remembrance, reflection, and resolve as we go forward in this journey of life, strengthened by Bhagavan's love and grace in our pursuit of God, which is the very pursuit of our true selves, our divine nature. We will now conclude this evening's program with musical renditions, bhajans, and closing prayers. On behalf of the alumni of Scarborough Sai Center, we thank you for taking part in this year's virtual Aradhana Mahotsavam. Jai Sai Ram.
वाजे मृदंग ताळविना मेरे नासत गौरी गणा वाजे मृदंग ताळविना मेरे नासत गौरी गणा गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया नाच नाच रे गजानना पायी बांधून घुंगुर बाळा हे तुमतट तुलणी बाळा पायी बांधून घुंगुर बाळा हे तुमतट तुलणी बाळा जन आवडे तव हा साळा जन आवडे तव हा साळा देई आनंद गौरी बाळा देई आनंद गौरी बाळा दुडदुड ये रे लुटलुट ये रे दुडदुड ये रे लुटलुट ये रे शिव सत्ता विहारा गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया नाच नाच रे गजानना तुझ्या चिंतनी जमले सारे तुझ्या चिंतनी जमले सारे तुझ्या चिंतनी जमले सारे तुझ्या चिंतनी जमले सारे काली आली नभातील तारे काली आली नभातील तारे नाचे चैतन्य अवघे वारे नाचे चैतन्य अवघे वारे पाना फुलात भरला सिंदुरे पाना फुलात भरला सिंदुरे कर्पूर गौरा जगदोधारा कर्पूर गौरा जगदोधारा ये संधी बरनारा गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया नाच नाच रे गजानना तू देवाचा देव खरा आदिनाथ तू मंगलकारा तू देवाचा देव खरा आदिनाथ तू मंगलकारा कृपेच्या अमृतधारा कृपेच्या अमृतधारा तारी विश्वाच्या सर्व सारा तारी विश्वाच्या सर्व सारा हे विघ्नेशा हे जगदीशा हे विघ्नेशा हे जगदीशा हे सन्नी परमेशा गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया गणपती बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ती मोरया मेरे दास पे गौरी करा गणपति बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ति मोरया गणपति बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ति मोरया गणपति बाप्पा मोरया मंगलमूर्ति मोरया गणपति बाप्पा मोरया ప్రతి మనసులో నీ ప్రేమ సుధను పొంగించి జీవన వెలుగులో మోహన రాగం పలికించి ప్రతి మనసులో నీ ప్రేమ సుధను పొంగించి ఆనందముతో దివి భువి పులకించగా ఆనందముతో దివి భువి పులకించగా మాటలాడవా మాటలాడవా ఓ యేసవా ప్రియమైన బంధవా ప్రేమ గురూపమా మా అందరి ప్రాణమా ఓ యేసవా अर्जियां सारी मैं चेहरे पे लिख के लाया हूँ। तुमसे क्या मांगू मैं, तुम खुद ही समझ लो। या मौला 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 मेरे मौला, या मौला 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 मेरे मौला,
मौला 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 मेरे मौला,
मौला 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 मौला, मौला 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 मौला, दरारे दरारे माथे पे मौला, मरम्मत मुकद्दर की कर दो मौला मेरे मौला। तेरे दर पे झुका हूँ, मिटा हूँ, बना हूँ, तेरे दर पे झुका हूँ, मिटा हूँ, बना हूँ, मरम्मत मुकद्दर की कर दो मौला, मरम्मत मुकद्दर की कर दो मौला। जो भी तेरे डर आया, झुकने को सर आया, मस्तियाँ पिए सबको झूमता नजर आया। जो भी तेरे दर आया, झुकने जो सर आया, मस्तियाँ पिए सबको झूमता नजर आया। प्यास लेके आया था दरिया वो भर लाया, नूर की बारिश में भीगता सकर आया, नूर की बारिश में हो, नूर की बारिश में भीगता सतर आया। मौला 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 मेरे मौला,
मौला 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 मेरे मौला,
मौला 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 मौला,
मौला 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 मौला,
दरारे दरारे माथे पे मौला, मरम्मत मुकद्दर की कर दो मौला मेरे मौला। ओ एक खुशबू आ रही थी, ओ एक खुशबू आ रही थी, मैं भटकता जाता था, रेशमी सी मियाँ थी, और मैं जगता जाता था। जब तेरी गली आया, सच कभी नजर आया, जब तेरी गली आया, जब कभी नजर आया, मुझ में ही वो खुशबू थी जिस तूने मिलवाया। मौला 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 मेरे मौला,
मौला 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 मेरे मौला,
मौला 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 मौला,
मौला 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 मौला,
दरारे दरारे माथे पे मौला, मरम्मत सजदे में रहने दो, अब कहीं ना जाऊंगा। सजदे में रहने दो, अब कहीं ना जाऊंगा। अब जो तुमने ठुकराया तो सवर न पाऊंगा। मौला 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 मेरे मौला, मौला 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 मेरे मौला, मौला 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 मेरे मौला, 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 दिल ये धड़कता है तेरा नाम लेके, चेहरे पे रंगे बहार आती है। तुम ही से पाओ खुशियाँ साई। ओ मुझ में भी तेरी खुशबू समाई है। ओ तेरे दर पे जो भी आया, तुमने खुशियों से झोली भरी है। खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है, खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है, झोली भरी है ओ बाबा, झोली भरी है। खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है, खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है। हमारी सांसें बसी है, तुझ में हमारी सांसें बसी है। तेरे दर पे जो भी आया ओ मेरे साईं बाबा, खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है, खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है। मोहब्बत ने भर दी है दूरी दिलों की, साईं के बंदे अब हम हुए हैं, दरी समा दरी दमगर gama dani dama dani ni sa dani dama sa ni dani dama ni dama dama gama ga sa ni dani sa gama dani dama dani sama gama dani dama dani ni sa dani dama sa ni dani dama ni dama dama gama ga sa ni dani sa gama dani sa gama dani sa gama dani मोहब्बत ने भर दी है दूरी दिलों की मोहब्बत ने भर दी है दूरी दिलों की दूरी दिलों की ओ बाबा दूरी दिलों की मोहब्बत ने भर दी है दूरी दिलों की मोहब्बत ने भर दी है दूरी दिलों की पाया है जब से ये प्यार तुम्हारा तेरे लिए जीते और हम मिटे हैं तुझसे हमारी जिंदगी बनी है तुझसे हमारी जिंदगी बनी है तेरे दर पे जो भी आया वो मेरे साईं बाबा खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है महताब है साईं खुदा तू क्या है तेरे ही रहमत से दुनिया बसी है रब ने बनाई जब मोहब्बत बनाई जब मोहब्बत बंदों ने तेरे ही की है इबादत कैसे बताओ दिल ये क्या है वो दिल ये क्या है जानो जिगर तुझ पे है वारी जानो जिगर तुझ पे है वारी जानो जिगर तुझ पे है वारी हो 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 तेरे दर पे जो भी आया वो मेरे साईं बाबा खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है हमको बनाया तुमने साईं एहसास ये दिल को हुआ हमें बनाया तुमने साईं हमें बनाया तुमने साईं हमें बनाया तुमने साईं एहसास दिल को हुआ एहसास दिल को हुआ एहसास दिल को हुआ चारों तरफ तेरा शफक चारों तरफ तेरा शफक सेरा भी अब गुलजार हुआ है तेरे दर पे जो भी आया ओ मेरे साईं बाबा खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है दर पे जो भी आया ओ मेरे साईं बाबा खुशियों से तुमने सबकी झोली भरी है 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 खुशियों विदुरा
शम्भुकुमारा कलुषविदुरा
शम्भुकुमारा कलुषविदुरा
सिद्धिसदन हे गणनाथा
सिद्धिसदन हे गणनाथा
सिद्धिसदन हे गणनाथा
सिद्धिसदन हे गणनाथा
प्रणवाकारा पशुपतितनया
प्रणवाकारा पशुपतितनया
प्रणवाकारा पशुपतितनया
प्रणवाकारा पशुपतितनया
विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना
विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना
विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना लम्बोदरा हे विनायका
लम्बोदरा हे विनायका
विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना
विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना
शम्भुकुमारा कलुषविदुरा
शम्भुकुमारा कलुषविदुरा
सिद्धिसदन हे गणनाथा
सिद्धिसदन हे गणनाथा
प्रणवाकारा पशुपतितनया
प्रणवाकारा पशुपतितनया
विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना विघ्नहरण गिरिजानन्दना लम्बोदरा हे विनायका गौरी मनोहर हे नटराजा
गौरी मनोहर हे नटराजा
गौरी मनोहर हे नटराजा
गौरी मनोहर हे नटराजा
शिव शिव शङ्कर हे शिवराजा
शिव शिव शङ्कर हे चन्द्रवदना कमलनयना चन्द्रवदना कमलनयना नारायणा हरिनारायणा नारायणा हरिनारायणा अनन्तशयना दीनशरण्या अनन्तशयना दीनशरण्या नारायणा हरिनारायणा नारायणा हरिनारायणा चन्द्रवदना कमलनयना नारायणा हरिनारायणा अनन्तशयना दीनशरण्या नारायणा हरिनारायणा नारायणा हरिनारायणा चन्द्रवदना कमलनयना पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला पंढरी रंगा हरे विठला पंढरी रंगा हरे विठला पंढरी रंगा पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला नर हरि रंगा हरे विठला नर हरि रंगा हरे विठला मुरहर रंगा हरे विठला मुरहर रंगा हरे विठला पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला पंढरी रंगा हरे विठला पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला नर हरि रंगा हरे विठला मुरहर रंगा हरे विठला मुरहर रंगा हरे विठला पुरंदर रंगा हरे विठला
ओम शिवाय 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 शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय ओम शिवाय ओम शिवाय ओम शिवाय ओम शिवाय शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय शंभो शंकर ओम शिवाय
कलतीका महाभवानवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे गुरुदेव मरियं तयुनीवे स्वामी मरियं तयुनीवे नाथ ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाथ ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्र शयना ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप जय शिव साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंतको मंगल आरती अंतको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय